Welcome everyone as we learn the segment known as For the Shabbos Table, sponsored by the Rubin family, that they should be zeicher to have a healthy Ben Zachar and for Atzlach and Ruchnias and Gashmias. And the shir is also sponsored anonymously by a wonderful woman for the schus of her two daughters that they should find their shidduch quickly and easily. Lo hibid oven b'Yakov v'lo ra ama b'Yisrael. Bilam said that you cannot see sin in Yaakov. Rashi learns Amal is also a lashon of an Aveira, and no Aveira in Yisrael. Hashem Elikov Imai, Hashem, their God is with him. Usruas Melech Bai, and the friendship, Sruas is a lashon of Re'echa, the friendship of the king is with him. The Menashe Klein, the Ungver Rav, Zech Tzadik Levrachas, Chusi Yagan Aleinu, in his Mishnah Halachas, says as follows. He interprets this pasuk that one who does not see sin in Yaakov and does not see Averis in Yisrael, such a person that's Malamed Schus on Klal Yisrael, Hashem is with him, and the friendship of the Melech Malchi Amlachim is with him. That's a wonderful thing. As we're getting nearer to Elul, to Yom Naraim, it says that if a Yid practices from the Midah of Rab Levi Yitzchak Mebedichev, the Heilige Bedichev, that he doesn't see Avlos in Klal Yisrael. You have to know that our Rabbeinu Shalom's relationship with us is like a relationship with a father with a child. Now, if somebody sees the good in our children, it pleases us greatly. Oh, you see the good in my child. That makes me feel very good. Right? Even if it's a difficult child, but if you see the good in the child, that makes the parent feel very good. That's the way it is with the Rebbeinu Shalom. Says Reb Menashe Klein that if we train ourselves to see good in Yidden, then the Rebbeinu Shalom is our friend. It's from the Ungver Rav, it's really an interesting thing. The truth of the matter is in the Sichas Musar of Reb Chaim Shmulevitz, the famous Sichas Musar, which was learned in yeshivas all over the world. It's a gold standard. Reb Chaim Shmulevitz has two shmuzin called Likras Yom Adin. When you come to greet the Day of Judgment, it's Likras Yom Adin Aleph and Likras Yom Adin Beis. And in these sichas, in one of them, I don't know which one, but in the sicha, he says that a way to get ready for the Yom Naraim is what the Gemara tells us, that Kol Adones Chaveiro Lekapschus, Donin Oisai Lekapschus. That if you judge your friend favorably, then Hashem will treat you the same way and judge you favorably. You know, it's an attitude that to see, you know, the people say, look what happens with Klal Yisrael, look at all these shtusim, and look. That's not the way we should talk. And that's not what we should highlight. We should look at the good. You know, here I'm up in the country, and I'm together with people that are this way. I'm together with the Kruller Rebbe. I once, mentioned to the Kruller Rebbe, they're davening all times of the morning. So I mentioned to him that in Munkach, in Borough Park, at 4 minutes to 1, or 1 o'clock, Chatzos, the lights go out. So the Kruller Rebbe said, Oh, in unsere Zeiten, Baruch Hashem, that Yidden come to daven, and they come and they're makbet to daven in Minyan. He sees the good. This is man Kriyashma, this is man Tefillah, Chatzais Avada. But instead of looking at it in a negative way, these people, who knows all kinds of tzaras that they have, and they still come to shul, and they still want to daven in Minyan. Same thing. You go to Nicholsburg, in Woodburn, you see the Nicholsburger Rebbe, Rabbi Youngreis, and he treats everybody there. People come into the shul in all states. They come in shorts, they come in sleeveless, they come in without tzitzis, and he's mekarev everybody, and he sees the good in everybody. The truth of the matter is that we all know that in Pirkei Avos, there's the famous dictum, Havidones kol ha'odam lekafschos. You should judge every person favorably. Now it should have said, Havidones kol odam lekafschos. Why does it say Havidones kol ha'odam? So the famous thing is that before you judge someone, you have to know the whole person. Maybe he's a henpecked husband. His wife is a shrew. He's a beaten man. He comes to shul, he's already so beaten. He's irritable. Or maybe this person has a wayward child in the house. A person has a wayward child in the house. I know somebody that had in his house a child living with a guy. But it was better to keep the child in the house than a little influence than to have him living on the street. A person like that, how could you judge somebody? Or let's say the person is out of work. Out of work, he can't sleep in the night. How is he going to pay his mortgage? Are they going to take away the house? What's going to be? Are they going to threaten to throw his children out of school? A person that lives like that, is it any wonder that the person is not acting normal? How could you judge such a person? You have to know. And if you don't know the whole person, then how can you judge him? We're supposed to look at the good. The key is to see the good. Now, it's interesting that Rav Miller learns that this pasuk is not talking about, like the Rav Menashe Klein, the behavior of Klal Yisrael, but it's referring to the behavior of Hashem. And it shows that this midah of seeing the good is actually valachta b'drachav, in walking in the ways of Hashem. Because Rav Vigna Miller asked that the Gemara in Brachos on Daf Yud Beis says that Bikshu likvaya parshas Balak b'kriyishma. The Rabbanan wanted to insert the parsha of Balak in Kriyishma, that we should say the parsha of Balak every day, together with the three parshas of Kriyishma. And the Gemara goes on to say, because this is one of the things that a Jew is supposed to remember. It's a pasuk in Micha. If you want to look it up, it's all the way at the end of Tanakh. Micha Perek Vav pasuk Hey. Ami Zechar na mayodz Balak melech Moav. Remember what Balak, the king of Moav, counseled to bring in Bilam to curse Klal Yisrael. And Uma ana isay Bilam ben Ba'ar, and what Bilam answered him, and how we escaped from being cursed from Bilam Arasha. Ramila asked an obvious question. He said, okay, we had a close squeak that Bilam could have cursed Klal Yisrael, and he was Yodea Das Elyon, he knew the moment that Hashem got angry, and therefore Hashem did a big chesed that he didn't get angry, because if not, we could have been destroyed. So Ramila said, and because of that, because we had a close squeak, that's why we should say it every day. We had a lot of close squeaks. Sancherib camped around Yerushalayim when we didn't even have an army with hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people according to certain calculations, and we were saved overnight without lifting a finger. I mean, there are many, many miracles that we could have. Alexander the Great came marching against Yerushalayim, and then Shimon HaTzadik met him, and Alexander got off his horse, and that was great. That was great miracles. Why don't we say that every day? I mean, the bottom line is, the Gemara says we don't say the Parashat Balak because it's a tircha yisera. It's too much to put on people to say that every day. But ask Ramila, what's so special about the Parashat Balak? And Ramila says a very interesting thing. He says because here Klal Yisrael was in the desert, we did the Egel Azav, the Meraglim, the Misainim, the complainers, we did all kinds of things. But Bilam saw that Hashem loves us, and lo hibid oven b'Yakov, lo yira amal b'Yisrael. Hashem saw the good in us. And this remembrance that Hashem sees the good in us, this is something that we really should say every day. Tell you a story that happened with the venerable Rav of Yerushalayim, Rav Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld. There was a Choshev Rav that was standing before Rav Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld, and a certain Yid that went off the derech made a big chilul Hashem. So this Rav said in front of Rabbi Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld about this Yid, Yamach Shemai v'Zichrei. May his name and his remembrance be blotted out. So Rabbi Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld corrected him. He said, you never talk that way about a Yid, that his name should be blotted out. He said, first of all, it's halachically wrong. Because let's say this Yid died childless. And he had a brother. The brother would be mechuyev to be miyabim the wife in the olden days. Why? Lahakim la'achiv shem, to give his brother a name. So to the contrary, it's not Yamach Shemai. You see, we have even a big sinner, we say his name should be perpetuated, should have good descendants. We never say Yamach Shemai v'Zichrei. And then he said, imagine, we know that there were wicked kings, Achaz, Menashe. But if Achaz and Menashe would be Yamach Shemai, there wouldn't be a Melech HaMashiach, there wouldn't be a Davidic line. Shimi ben Gera cursed David HaMelech. Right? If he would say Yamach Shemai of Shimi ben Gera, there wouldn't be a Mordechai HaTzadik. Mordechai HaTzadik was a descendant of Shimi ben Gera. The answer is that we're not in the judgment business. Ki hamishpat lelikim. You want to say something? Be mispal that the person should do tshuva. That's what Bruria told Reb Meir. Yitamu chatoim ksiv. It says, may the sins cease. V'lo chaitim, but not the sinners. We don't say that sinners should cease. We never say about a Yid Yamach Shemai. Now, this statement, V'lo yira amal b'Yisrael, as we said, Rashi learns that amal is a lashon of aveira. But that's not the way the Orach Chaim HaKadosh learns. The Orach Chaim HaKadosh learns the more pashut way that the word amal means toil. And Bilam saw v'lo yira amal b'Yisrael, that the Yidden didn't look at the mitzvahs as a toil, as a burden. To the contrary, they did the mitzvahs with a passion. Ivdu es Hashem b'simcha, they served Hashem with joy. And this was a big praise, that even though we have 613 mitzvahs, But v'lo amal b'Yisrael, it wasn't a hardship. It wasn't a burden. You know, that they say over that the Arizal, the great Arizal, who really opened the world's eyes to so many things, a father of so much Hasidus, the Arizal said that he was Zoicha to his Madregas because he did the mitzvahs with Simcha. The Chassam Sofer argues on a famous vart. There's a famous vart that why does Shas start with Me'emosai Korin as Kriya Shema ba'arvin? When do you say Kriya Shema in the evening? Shas starts with brachas with that Mishnah because that's the first mitzvah that devolves upon a bar mitzvah boy. Because on the night of his bar mitzvah he has to have a marav. So the Chassam Sofer said it's wrong. The first mitzvah that devolves upon a bar mitzvah boy, the moment he becomes bar mitzvah, is to be b'simcha. And being b'simcha is a mitzvah. The Bahag in the Minyan HaMitzvahs counts as one of the 613 mitzvahs. V'samachta b'chol ha'toiv asher nasan l'cha Hashem elikecha l'beisecha. It's a mitzvah to be happy. It's well known that they asked Ramosha a big question. They asked my Rebbe, there were many families during the Great Depression that were Meiser Nefesh to keep Shabbos. And yet their descendants assimilated. And they didn't continue Yiddishkeit. And they asked Ramosha, how is it possible these fathers, they were Meiser Nefesh to keep Shabbos, why weren't they Zeicha to have descendants Shomer Torah mitzvahs? Ramosha said because they came home and they complained and they krechzt. It's so hard to be a Yid. He says from a krechz we don't make Yiddishkeit. You can't say it's schwer zu sein a Yid. Said Ramosha Adarabbi, you have to say it's glicklich zu sein a Yid. It's lucky, it's fortunate. He said, that's what it says. Ashreinu, ma tov chalkeinu, ma noim gareleinu, ma yafa yerushaseinu. Fortunate are we. That's the way to make children that want to continue and perpetuate Klal Yisrael. And that's what Bilam saw. That's what Bilam saw. He saw that there was no toil by Klal Yisrael. We find in the Teichacha that when terrible things happen to Klal Yisrael, it says in the Teichacha, because you didn't serve Hashem with simcha. We say that when we daven, that it shouldn't be kemasui. It shouldn't be like a burden. Right? It is halacha that unless it's your makom kavua, you're not supposed to daven in shul right by the door. That it shouldn't look like as soon as you finish, you could be out of here. That's why it's a very bad thing when people start folding their talis already by Ein Kelikenu after Musaf. What are you running out? What are you ketinik habayreach mebeis hasefer? And by the way, don't think your child doesn't pick this up. Don't think your child doesn't pick up the attitude, I'm out of here. That's not a good attitude. That doesn't make for good Yiddishkeit. You know, there's a famous Rashi that after the Balak fought with Yaakov and he couldn't prevail, so the Balak said, Shalcheni, send me away, ki ola hashachar. Send me away because it's morning. And Rashi says, V'tzorech ani loimer shira. and I need to go say my turn in song at sunrise. So I asked the Kasha, why does Rashi say v'tzorech ani lo meshira? I need to say song. Why doesn't it say I want to say song? I always tell my children, don't say I need to bench. Say I want to bench. The answer is that a malach can't say I want to, because a malach doesn't have a choice. That's how we transcend the malachim, because we could say I want to. And that's why, by the way, why do you think we start mincha in the middle of the day with Ashrei Yoshrei Veisecha? Because a person might say, oh, I had to leave the office, and I had to park again, and they. No, Ashrei Yoshrei Veisecha. And that's why when we end off davening, we say Aleinu l'shabeach. Now, what's that all about? You should say Aleinu in the beginning of davening, not at the end of davening. But when we leave the shul, we tell Hashem, look, we're leaving, but not because we finished. We have a lot more to say. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adonako. We still have much more to praise you. Just look, we have to get on with our life. We have other things to do. But not that we're running out. Aleinu l'shabeach. We have a lot more to say. Vayosem Hashem dover b'fi Bilam. Hashem put something in the mouth of Bilam. So the Achaim Kaddish says, what did Hashem put in the mouth of Bilam? The Pashtus, the meaning of this pasuk is that Hashem put in the prophecy into his mouth. But the Achaim Kaddish says, no, Hashem put something in Bilam's mouth. What did he put in his mouth? Says the Achaim HaKadosh, Hashem put in Bilam's mouth a mechitza. Because there would come out of Bilam words of nevuah, words of kedusha, words that Klal Yisrael would say every morning in davening. Matovu alecha Yaakov mishkaneisecha Yisrael. But how could those words come out from a filthy, tamei dika mouth like Bilam's? His mouth was a pi chazir. It was like a swine's mouth. How could words of nevuah and kedusha and holiness come out of such a mouth? Hashem had to put in a mechitza. And the truth is, says the Baruchi Nafshi, people wonder why their tefillas aren't answered. It's interesting, the Manchester Rosh Hashiva said this also. You know, there's a tefillah before saying Baruch She'amar. Hareini mezamen es pila odosu lahalel u'shabeach es bayri. I am preparing my mouth to thank and to praise and to laud my Creator. So said the Manchester Rosh Hashiva, how do you prepare your mouth? So most people say with mouthwash. It says, it's brought down, that in the morning you should rinse out your mouth, that the ririn shebepeh, the saliva of the night, should be removed, so you should be able to say Hashem's name with a clean mouth. But that's true. But the Manchester Rosh Hashiva says that's not the Ikar Pshat. The Ikar Pshat is that a mouth that yells at a wife, that yells at a husband, that lies, that says hurtful words, that says lashon hara, that lies, it cannot succeed at prayer. Ein kateger nasa saneger. So therefore, hareini mizamen es pi. I prepare my mouth. I'm working on my mouth, that my mouth should be clean. Chavetz Chaim says a person is so careful not to put in something that's not kosher into his mouth. You have to work as much to make sure that you don't put out something that's not kosher. That something that's not kosher should come out of your mouth. I told you this is a vart also from the Chassam Sofer. The Chassam Sofer says that on Rosh Hashanah in Musaf, it says, Imru lefanai malchiyai zichronais v'shofars. Malchiyai, say 10 psukim of kingship to coronate me as your king. Zichronais, say psukim of remembrance, kidei sheyalu zichronechem lefanai l'taiva, that I should remember you for the good. Ubameh, how will I remember you for the good? B'shofar. So Sam Sefer says, we're in shul from 7:30 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon, davening all that time, and we say, how will Hashem remember us with the shofar? What, are we chopped liver? Our hours and hours and hours is trumped by the shofar that doesn't have a mind? The answer is, he says, is that many people, their mouth is dirty. Remember, Matzayra had to ask other people to pray for him. Tamei tik, tamei yikri, he had to tell people, I'm tamei. Because since his mouth was a moitzi ra, it didn't succeed in helping him. It says the pure peel of the shofar helps us when our mouths can't do the work for us. If we want our tefillah to be successful, then we have to make sure that our mouths are pure. That's what we also know that that's the primary achievement in life. The Gemara says in Masechta Sanhedrin, Adam la'amal yulad. A person is created for toil. And the Gemara concludes, what's the major toil? Amal pe nivra. That person was created for the toil of the mouth. The greatest arena for achievement in life is through the mouth. As Shlomo HaMelech says in Mishlei, ki ukaf alav piyu. You should have a saddle upon your mouth. We should be zeicha that we should have a clean mouth. And that way, our tefillah should be effective. We want to thank you, thank the Rubin family, our anonymous dedicator, for the schus of our daughters to become married, Mirz Hashem B'Karav. Anybody who wants to sponsor a Chumash here, 718-916-3100, rmmwsi@aol.com. Thank you for joining us. Have a good Shabbos, and now we're going to learn the Mishnah Yomis.